I'm Casey Viera. Mitch Johnson has gotten off to a red-hot season leading the San Antonio Spurs team, but are we sure he's meeting expectations?
This is Jeff Garcia, host of Locked On Spurs, and are we possibly seeing the final days as Jeremy Sohan as a member of the Spurs?
I'm Devin Brown. It's cold outside. Grab your hot chocolate. Let's talk Spurs.
This is Locked On Spurs Squad Show, the twice-a-week show where Spurs talk gets real. No filters, no fluff, just raw takes, sharp opinions, and straight-up passion for the game. The way only Locked On Podcast Network knows how. Let's drop some dimes and squad up. The Spurs Squad Show starts now.
Indeed it does. In today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Be sure to download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Welcome into the Spurs Squad Show right here on Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one podcast network in all of the land because of the everydayers like yourself. Got a lot going on tonight with Jeff Garcia, host of the title pod in the middle, Spurs NBA champion Devin Brown, far side of your screen. I'm merely Casey Viera. Going to talk on the job that Mitch Johnson has done up to this point, what we like, what we don't like, and the fact that, well, we like this part, that the NBA Cup is coming up in just a little bit. The knockout rounds and the Spurs are going to be a part of it in segment 2. Is that going to be enough to propel them for bigger things? Plus, Carter Bryant, how he continues to contribute in his rookie season and what kind of trickle-down impact it has for the likes of Jeremy Sohan, as Jeff mentioned. Plus, as Devin mentioned, the cold weather is here. The cold weather has arrived, but also in a colder sense for the San Antonio Spurs. That said, let's get right into it and talk about the fact that the Spurs are playing pretty good basketball. And it's on the back of their head coach, or at least under the direction of Mitch Johnson so far in his second season in San Antonio. First full season in San Antonio. A lot of skepticism on the outside when they're seeing an interim promoted, a guy who's largely unsung from the outside, but up to this point, very little to complain about for a team firmly in contention in the top 6 in the Western Conference. And for a guy who was a Vegas favorite or close to one of for Coach of the Year, Jeff Garcia, how would you assess the first month and change so far, these first 19 games of the job Mitch Johnson has done up to this point?
You know, before we hit the live button here, Casey, you know, y'all three of us were talking about that, and I told you I was struggling. I was struggling to think of anything that could be possibly like a knock on his coaching so far, and they're far and few between. I mean, you have to really dig deep. How can you say anything bad about the record the Spurs have under his guidance? I can say anything bad about him when the Spurs are, you know, humming defensively. You know, how do you say that when without Wemby and Castle, they go to Denver and beat Joker and the Nuggets? They take care of business versus Portland. You know, you look at overall at this team, and it's young, it's exciting. I think Mitch Johnson deserves a pat in the back. He's letting them play to their strengths, transition, getting up and down the court. But he's also emphasized the philosophy of defense, as we all have seen this entire season. I think Mitch Johnson has far exceeded my expectations. And you mentioned Mitch kind of being a relatively unknown. I mean, Devin, Casey, remember the guys that were out there at the time? Mike Malone, you know, that guy, Taylor Jenkins. You know, everybody was saying, Spurs, you guys are idiots. You know, what are you doing? There you go. Ready-made coaches, yet they go with Mitch. So I think it's a testament to him. And so far, so good. I mean, flying colors so far.
Devin, I know for you, I mean, we get up there every single night after these games, and we have a reasonably, or I like to think I do, because I'm in, you know, share the conversation with you, but have a reasonably good take as to what this thing looks like, for better or worse, when the night comes to a close. And I think the big takeaway, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like when we have these conversations about Mitch, it's the fact that he has an instilled confidence, it seems like this year, what he's doing, especially when it comes to rotations. Doesn't matter who you are, the sense of loyalty. He is. Last year we saw him, it looked like he was kind of playing with house money. So he was pushing whatever worked just to essentially kind of keep a job. But now it kind of feels like this is becoming a thing, that it doesn't matter who you are. I'm going to read the game. I'm going to read what time it is. And I'm kind of finding my own along the way and going to do what's best for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jeff, to add to your point, Becky Hammon was out there
There you
as
go.
well.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people loved her, but let's get into what it is that you're talking about there, Casey. And yeah, you know, as a player watching the games, and you know, I always have to be honest with you guys and with the crowd. I hadn't followed the NBA this much since I played. All right, I normally try and keep my eyes on what's going on as far as my golf game, whether it's the long game or the short game. But since I've been doing this, I got that passion back. And so when you talk about a player from a player's aspect, what do you look for in a coach? Well, you look for someone that's going to fight for you, right? Mitch does that. He fights for his guys. You look for someone that's not going to cater to the superstars when you're a role player like myself. That's huge because I've been in situations, Cleveland. They didn't do that there. I don't know why. It was crazy. But anyway, so you look for guys that they're going to, when they walk into the locker room, because think about this, guys. You got all these practices, you got all these games. You can't come in there with the same speech, the same tone, things like that. I think Mitch does a great job of doing that. All right. What caught my eye in your question, Casey, I know you want me to go there. I'll go there. Is the fact that he's going to hold De'Aaron Fox, that's the superstar right now on the team. He's going to hold him accountable. And the other day, he gave up a 3, missed an assignment, was late to a rotation or did something with the rotation. And I say that because Mitch called a timeout as soon as Minnesota hit a 3 in the fourth quarter. He was already at the free throw line, and he yanked De'Aaron Fox out of there. So when you say there's similarities to Pop would do that because he needs you to be great in April and May, and he needs you to understand what it is. So you're not going to get away with it in a game, cold game in Minnesota. That was what I saw out of Mitch. He's doing a great job of that. Now I have one negative, with him. It's shot selection when the other team is on the run. If he can get that point across to the team, which they're working on, other than that, he's doing great.
Yeah, if I can add to it too, as far as why he's doing a bang up job is, and it's kind of reflecting what you just said, Devin, about holding players accountable. Did y'all catch how Mitch talked about Dylan Harper after the game in Minnesota? He praised him, said, "Yeah, he did great, he did good." But what did he say? We could still use more rebounding out of him. If those many minutes out there, how do you have that few rebounds?
Exactly. I thought that was great. He had like 0 or 1 or something.
He had 1, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yeah, I thought that was great that he did that. Pop would go to the media sometimes to get his message out, and I think Mitch did the same thing with that little comment about Dylan Harper. He has the potential to do so much more, not just score, get in the paint, attack. He could do other things like rebounding. So again, another check boxed for me when it comes to how great a job that Mitch is doing.
And here's the thing, Casey, before you go real quick, let's remember this. And everybody he's taking over for somebody that's top 5 in wins of all time and 5 championships in a small market in a city where all of a sudden we became really good at basketball. I just wanted to get that out there, Casey.
My thing, the big takeaway that I've gotten, and I mean, I could be wrong. This could be exactly how it is, and I'm sure there is an element of it to it from the upstairs to downstairs. Was when they stayed in house and when they brought Mitch in under the full-time role over the summer. I think kind of the natural thought process was this is just an extension of the front office. This is just an extension of Pop. You see it kind of more so in baseball, where you have just these skippers where, because baseball is so, analytical, and they have just kind of philosophy that goes all the way down, and it starts from the front office down to the skipper. This kind of felt like one of those things where Mitch was just kind of a guy out there initially on the surface, and it was all coming from upstairs. And hey, maybe it is, but I feel like this year, seeing Mitch Johnson in this spot, it has made me separate from that sentiment a little bit. Yeah. And that Mitch Johnson is a new figure. We're still waiting to see kind of an identity of what his calling cards are. I think that's kind of expected because last year he was just trying to keep his head above water. He's not even sure if he's going to have the job in all likelihood. But what I like this year is that we're getting a little bit more of an idea of who he is and what we've gotten to know, or things like Devin said right there was that he's not afraid to keep players accountable. He's not afraid to keep players accountable, and he's not afraid to be vocal with them. And that's something that's a leap. We talk so much about a player leap. How about a coach leap? That's something we're not seeing this time last year. And maybe it's because he had the mic on national TV on opening night when he started spouting off on the bench. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But I feel like Mitch this year has done a good job separating himself as more than just essentially a mouthpiece, so to speak, from the front office. Maybe that's too negative a term. He's done a good job identifying himself that I'm Mitch Johnson, I'm the job, and this is me. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, no. And to carry on that notion there is, I like that he's not trying to be a Pop clone. You know, I like that. And he's not, although I'm waiting for the first time he gets thrown out of a game. I'm waiting for that moment. I want to see how fired up he gets. But I like that he's trying to be his own person. That's some big shoes you got to follow. That's a big shadow that you're in. Yeah. But so far, I think he's doing a good job of being Mitch Johnson. And I like that. And as much as the praise that he gets, and he deserves it, you got to tip your cap to guys like Sweeney and Williamson. I mean, without those two guys, at his side as a solid assistant coaches, especially on the defensive end with Sweeney, I don't think the Spurs have a few more L's than they do right now. So I think just Mitch, big standing O, and a great big applause for the assistant coaches as well.
Go ahead, Devin.
So I'm not going to talk because we're going to talk about this later. I'm going to send something to you guys, and I pretty much know you're going to send it right back. But I have to say this because of the news that we're hearing. They hired Manu. So I want to know, because I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking when they hired Manu. All right, so I'll go first.
So you're hold on, just so I hear that correctly. So they hired when they in the upstairs role, advisory role. What are you referring to?
Manu's going to be one of the assistant coaches.
You know that for a fact?
Oh, am I letting something out of the bag?
I think you are.
Okay, never mind.
Everybody in the internet, ignore what he said.
Yeah, never mind.
I don't know.
I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, continue your thought. Go ahead.
All right. So the next here's my thing, and here's where I'm going with this is you have to think about this from Mitch's standpoint, right? When you go into practice, after a win, after a loss, you show up. Obviously, you have Pop, you have Manu, you have Tim. That's a lot on his plate. Okay. So for him to be able to be around like all of this and to understand what it means, it shows me a lot in some of his behavior on the sidelines. Like, I watch everything. I watch the players that aren't playing, the players that are playing, the coaches, the assistant coaches. And for me, since I've been in that environment, it's going to tell you a tale on what's going on with that team. So when I see, and I love what y'all said about him not being thrown out yet. Like if there was a night, right, that Pop sometimes the games were wearing on him, right? It was the first quarter and it was about 4 or 5 possessions in. I don't think Mitch is at that point yet. He's still a young coach. We won't see anything like that. But I'll tell you what, he's been close a couple of times because he gets aggressive with the refs. He gets aggressive. He doesn't. It's like, and that's why I say fight for your players, because Mitch is not a pushover. All right, so that goes back to y'all's point. But my thing is, at the end of the day, I think Mitch is doing a really good job. He's only 19 games into this thing, and my hat's off to him for how he's handling everything around him.
Yeah, and let's not forget too, he is technically a rookie head coach, by definition. So you can see sometimes the refs gives him the rookie coach treatment. Maybe they ignore like, get out of the way, kid. You're right on the block. So there's that. But all in all, it's just a good job. And look, probably the first. Pop has been the first to say it. Devin, you were the part of those squads. He said, "I would never be here if it wasn't for the players, Timmy, Tony, and Manu. They were the ones that made it, not me." You can almost say the same thing for Mitch. He has the players on that roster right now, and they're producing on the court for their way above 500 record. So it's just a group effort right now. I know Mitch was here. He'll probably say, like, no, it's the players. It's the players. All I do is just impart my vision. They got to execute it. But he has to come up with that vision. So kudos.
I mean, I think he had it best. I mean, he beyond the Pop side of things, the company in that room, I'd have to imagine it's a lot. It's a lot to work with or to have that on top of you. I don't want to say nitpicking because I don't know the inner details, and I don't think they're nitpicking, but the pressure of that. And he's done a good job navigating it. And they're winning basketball games. A ways to go. We're only into a quarter into the season.
It is.
So, little ways to go, but so far he's passing the test with flying colors. On the topic of what's on deck, a little over a week away, knockout round begins in the Emirates NBA Cup. As we know, the Spurs, they got a ticket to the party. They're invited this year, making a trip to Los Angeles. We're going to revisit past teams, younger teams that were kind of in a similar spot in the very infancy of this tournament, if you will, and how they used this to essentially catapult to bigger or better things. And if the Spurs do their part, do their job, and they go to Vegas, could similar things be in check? Got that for you. And a little bit more on deck on the Spurs Squad Show right here on Locked On Spurs. But before we do, let's talk about some of our friends who drive this program. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win, not just on game day, every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks, ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at robinhood.com/your money. Again, that's robinhood.com/your money. Your money, your move. Welcome back into the Spurs Squad Show right here on Locked On Spurs as we bring my buddies back on deck. Jeff Garcia, host of the Title Pod, man in the middle, NBA champion Devin Brown. I am merely Casey Viera. All right, so
merely, he says, merely.
I like to accept
whatever, Casey.
I'm in rarefied air in the room right now. All right, let's talk about the rarefied air that the Spurs could be teetering with, and that's being one of 3 teams to play in the NBA Emirates Cup, or the 3rd team potentially. They got a game against the Lakers on deck. Let's revisit the past, because in a very recent history, sample size, only 2 years, so not a ton, some of these younger teams that have gotten to the championship game in Oklahoma City and Indiana, they have excelled as a result or subsequently following that. Maybe Oklahoma City was a little bit further ahead in their development this time last year before they lost to the Bucks in the championship round, but naturally won the title. Pacers the year before that, very similar situation, in my opinion, to where the Spurs are right now. Younger team trying to find their ways. They lost to the Lakers in the IST championship game, and they subsequently went to the Eastern Conference Finals, followed by a finals appearance last year. So Devin, I'll start with you. Is this the type of thing? Spurs have a strong showing. Spurs go out to Vegas, win or lose, that can propel them to a similar type trajectory if they do their job.
Yeah, let's look at the road that you take. You beat a good Denver team, the Joker. They're always going to compete. LA, you're gonna have to win at LA, right? That'd be another notch in your belt. And then you get either Phoenix. You're 0-2 against them, so at some point you owe them. And then OKC, and OKC is everybody's darling team, championship team, well-deserved, things like that. You got Sam Presti over there in the front office that is like, this junior R.C. Buford. Sam was here with all of us when we were all here, so he's doing a phenomenal job over there. So you look at the teams you have to go through to get there. And so for the front office, you're going, hey, we put this roster together. Why not? Why not go and make it to Vegas? I think it would be huge for the Spurs to make it to Vegas. And so, yeah, I'm all in with this NBA Cup. It is a big deal.
Jeff, what you got?
Yeah, I was talking about this on Media Row the other day, and this was when the Cup race was just starting out. So the Cup game was on the horizon for the Spurs, and I'm sitting there talking to the media members. I'm thinking, if the Spurs were to win the Cup, do they put up a banner? Because remember how everybody was laughing at the Lakers for doing that? Like, oh, cringe. Do the Spurs do that? But it feels like in that short time from that cringe moment to now, just these short years, the Cup has kind of transformed into something that's, not, made fun of, poked fun of at. I think this is good for the Spurs. One, Mitch even said it too, that after they qualified, and I think he was joking, but he goes, I don't know about this Cup bleep or this stuff here, but those guys, one of the players, they know what's going on. They're cheering about it. So as long as they're excited, the players, and they're ecstatic, and that's a milestone for a young squad, because it is a milestone for this squad. They haven't tasted any type of elevated competition for 6-7 years now. So you take it. And if they lose against the Lakers, so be it. At least they got a taste of what it is to elevate your game in a game that's more than just a regular season game. So all in all, I think is good for this team, is good for the development, and they won the group, and they did it against the freaking Denver Nuggets in their gym. And by the way, Devin, Casey, what is it about the Spurs spoiling things for Denver? Spoiled them from clinching the group, spoiled their playoff positioning a couple years ago in that final game. Shout out Devontae Graham.
Devontae Graham's legacy in San Antonio.
Devontae Graham legacy. Yeah. But regardless, it's good for this young team. I think they're going to embrace it. And I'm excited for them. And we'll see how they do. And even if it's just maybe not a stepping stone, but even a couple of pebbles into them getting somewhat ready for the real deal, the real season, that is after 82 games, if they qualify, then so be it. I'll take it.
I feel like this is kind of what now that we're in year 3 of the in-season tournament, this is kind of what it's designed for. It feels like, to give these fringe playoff teams just that little boost of relevant basketball that they can kind of take and build off of. Because at the end of the day, like, LeBron winning the in-season tournament in year 1 is not something that they're going to put on his resume. Right. You know what I mean? Like when Giannis retires, and however many years from now, him winning the in-season tournament last year, they're not going to put on the resume. But if a young team goes out and they perform and they show out, I think there is something real legitimate to the idea that they can get that taste of relevant, important basketball early in the process. And I think while the sample size is very small with teams like Oklahoma City and Indiana, the evidence, whether you want to credit to it or not, would suggest that it helps in some capacity, that it does help. Because I don't think the Pacers go to 7 games if they don't have the same postseason experience the year that they do before, getting smacked around by the Celtics in the conference finals. Do they make the conference finals if they don't go out there and they play relevant basketball? If they're not playing that type of basketball in December, in January against the Lakers, perhaps. I think it's a stepping stone. I think Oklahoma City gets to where they are right now, regardless of whether they won it, lost it, were in Vegas or not. So maybe OKC compared to Indy is a bad example. But Devin, I think this tournament, the setup, whether this was the design for Silver, probably not, or what he intended, I think that's what we've kind of learned about the in-season tournament, the NBA Cup, was that this is where these teams on the fringe can really find an identity and kind of take off. At least what it looks like to me at this point.
Well, I'll tell you right now, OKC, they have themselves in a position very good in this cup. If they end up winning it, what's everybody going to say? Well, they're a dominant team. They won it last year. They won the cup. Yeah. So it goes either way, right? So with the Spurs, okay, it's a huge deal because of some of the things that I mentioned. I mean, the last, I don't know how many years here in San Antonio, it's been nothing like, they pretty much started giving tickets away to go watch the Spurs. Now that's not the case. I mean, it's back to where it was. At least that feeling is. So, for the Spurs being such a young team and getting criticized for the last couple of years, I think it is big that they contend, go into LA. And it's like, Jeff, this is for you, because I asked Casey the other day.
Yeah, hit me with it.
Does the big fella come back and play against the Lakers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
All
so.
right.
I think so. And and by the way, what makes the cup qualification for the Spurs and just all the teams, the other, how many teams made it? Like 8 teams or 6 teams? Whatever the field is.
8 in the knockout, 4 and 4, 8 in the knockout round.
8 and knockout. Okay. I'll tell you this much, and you heard it from their own lips after they qualified. Spurs released the video. What was that last comment you heard from the players after they qualified? Give me that money. They're getting a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
If they win it.
Might not make it out of Vegas, but they're going to get a lot of money.
They're getting a lot of money. Yeah. So that's quite a motivating factor for any NBA player that's now qualified, and team as well, into the cup.
Yeah, I agree, because not, a David Jones Garcia, more to him, but $500,000. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think like 8 and change is the two-way base salary right now, or whatever it is right now. I mean, that's almost more than half of what you're supposed to make, or a guy like a Riley Minix or Harrison Ingram, things like that. Those two-way contracts not even cracking $1 million half the time for sure. I think that what we'll probably learn, and I'm in the same boat as Devin. I think Victor will probably be back. I mean, I know he'll do everything in his power to be back, but I'm guessing that he'll be back in a week to do that for that Laker game. I'm just
do everything in his power?
Everything in his power.
Oh, like you mean put your sneakers on?
Yeah.
Look at Devin. Look at Devin cooking right now.
The icy hot and the calf. With the icy hot and the calf be out there good to go.
Some
Devin's old school,
get
man.
something. I don't know.
Devin probably would tell Wemby in the locker room now, just rub some dirt on it, buddy. Get out there.
Let's go.
That's what Tim used to do.
Yeah.
Dirt on it.
But no, my thing is with this is that they have passed a lot of tests, and admittedly, I've been skeptical of them going into just about every test that they've had. I've been skeptical that they do it, and with the exception of the Golden State Warriors losses, like they have cleared every hurdle. They have, with these big time hurdles, like
they have
winning the group, group beating
but
Houston on national TV, another cup game.
Yeah. So, and getting Ime to say that they punked them. They punked them.
Yeah. No, they have. No. And so like that's why I'm excited to see what that next step is, if it were to happen, if they were to beat the Lakers by some, I don't want to say miracle, but by some intervention, they're able to knock off Oklahoma City, because I think that's just kind of what we've accepted, that everything goes through Oklahoma City, and it just is what it is. But I'm excited, for all those reasons, Jeff, to see them get back in these kind of relevant games. And if it is a catapult, cool. If not, cool. But now right?
Yeah. And look, and if anything, it's just that confidence. For me, I like the confidence that it gives the young players. They qualify, they win their group, they draw the Lakers, they're going to be in LA, bright lights. As much as Devin, you said that likely, we'll speculate that Wemby could be back for that cup game. Can't tell me maybe LeBron and Luka and Reeves, they're going to be raring to go. I mean, it's prime time. It's blockbusters, must-see TV. All the stars will align. It should be a ratings grabber for that game. And quickly about Wemby, I know. Sorry, Casey, you got to transition soon, but I know he's out again. Are we starting to get worried, or no? This is just par for the course for the Spurs. This is just whatever. This is the Spurs being the Spurs.
I'm always worried with Victor, so that's my answer.
Okay, what are you doing?
Hey man,
you were in it. You know how they are with the medical staff.
Well, okay. I'll say it again. Hey, you know me. I'm doing this right here. Hey, listen. Hadn't seen him since he didn't get that last shot against the Warriors. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
What are you stirring in that pot today?
He's just stirring everything today.
Everything.
He's stirring it up today.
You got to understand. You got to understand something. Like the Spurs are doing a great job of playing like Denver in Denver. Those guys, and they took a couple of punches from Denver, right? And I mean, if you're Wemby, you're seeing this. You see them battling in Minnesota. Hey man, at some point, like I said, take a couple a leave and let's go. Because they need you out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Listen, but this is kind of what I come back to, and this is maybe when we reconvene on Thursday, we'll see what happens on Tuesday, Wednesday. So this might be a little more gas to put on the fire. I just kind of wonder at times, how much of it is them getting in the way for the player's own good. If he's feeling good, he wants to go out there and do the thing. He wants to go out there and play. And historically, from what it seems like, Devin, you know better than us, it seems like the 110% notion, 150% notion that the player's got to hit that milestone, that marker before they get out there. It would drive me nuts. It would drive me absolutely insane. So I have a hard time getting too much on Victor, because I think the Spurs are getting in the way, because Victor's worst enemy is himself with some of this stuff. Superman to doing all these things, and he's just not doing himself any favors. But it would drive me nuts as a player if I felt like I was right there at the 1 yard line, ready to Marshawn Lynch this ball into the end zone, and they said, "No, we need another week because we need to whatever you do." I don't know.
Well, did they do that with De'Aaron Fox? I remember Media Day, Casey, you and I were there. He said, "I'm ready to go."
But that's my point exactly.
It's on them. He said that.
That's my point exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Devin. You get one more. We got a segue, but I'm not going to let you make that face with a point on your mind.
Devin gonna stir the pot again.
No,
First Manu, now
right.
Wemby, now this.
This is all. Hey, listen. Hey, Tim. Obviously, we know he dealt with some injuries, things like that. Remember one game he had on. I mean, y'all couldn't see it because he had on like a nylon over it. But that knee brace was it went from the ankle to mid-thigh. It was so big.
Wow.
And the thing about it is they said, Tim, no. Tim's reaction or comment was, stop me. Stop me. Because I'm playing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, I hadn't really been a part of a team that holds you, tells you no. If you say you want to play, then my God, play. Right? At the end of the day, you got to earn your check. I don't know about the whole oh no, the Spurs are holding him out. And so that's why I made that face when he said De'Aaron Fox, oh no, I'm ready to play. Yeah, I bet you are. But I don't know. I think Wemby might have been sore. All right. But that's what the Spurs have to do. If they play him 12 straight games, then let everybody know, look, he's going to play 12 straight.
Yeah.
We're going to see what happens for 2, and he'll be back out there. But don't, oh, no, he's got a hip injury. Oh, all right.
Technically, that's Castle with the hip, but,
Yeah, we get the point, yeah.
Yeah.
I get you. All right. Carter Bryant's healthy. We do know that for sure, or so we think, at least. We're pretty confident Carter Bryant's healthy. Coming up on the other side of the break, we're going to talk about a lot of the good things the rookie's been doing and the trickle-down impact that it's having for this roster, other people's playing times, one Spur in particular. Going to hit on that in just a moment here on the Spurs Squad Show right here on Locked On Spurs. But before that, let's talk about our title sponsor tonight, which, of course, as you know by now, is Game Time. Nothing beats being in the arena for these season opening games. First couple months, we're almost, 20 games into the season now that I say that. But let's be real. Getting tickets, it's a headache sometimes, but not with Game Time. Why? Well, you don't have to be in the middle of those surprising fees, waiting in queues, the price hikes before you get out. You're not going to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team, because all those things, those bad things I just mentioned, that's where Game Time comes in. It's an app that gives fans the advantage, your ultimate life hack to get great NBA tickets, quick, fast, easy, stress-free. Fun fact, I used it. I had never used it before starting with the Locked On Network. I used it going to a game unrelated to the Spurs out of town in a few weeks. And all those things I just told you about, quick, easy. They let you check out what you're sitting in or see the spot that you're sitting in ahead of time. all those things I just mentioned. That's why you want to tag in and get a part of Game Time or get in on the Game Time fun. So take the guesswork out of buying the NBA tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. As always, terms do apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off with Game Time. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. All right, welcome back into the Spurs Squad Show right here on Locked On Spurs. Jeff Garcia, host of the title pod, man in the middle, NBA champion Devin Brown to the right of your screen. I'm Casey Viera. What do we do? Well, three of us, we get together a couple times a week. If the Spurs aren't playing, it's Tuesday, Thursday. But if they are playing Tuesday or Thursday, we mix it up a little bit. But usually it's Tuesdays, Thursdays, 9 o'clock, meeting of the minds, meeting of our programs. Like I said, Jeff Garcia, host of the Day-to-Day Title Pod, Devin Brown and myself. You can catch us after every Spurs game right here on Locked On Spurs, live on the Spurs postcast. And, you know, a couple times a week, three of us get together and talk about San Antonio.
Devin stirs the pot, as he always
does. So you know what?
Yeah,
Devin's got a couple pots of things brewing tonight. So you know what? Why doesn't he just tap into that third one? Because there's a guy who's been playing pretty good basketball right now. That's Carter Bryant. Has the numbers been wowing you? No, not in particularly, but the appearances and how he's getting those numbers, those might surprise you. Because yesterday we saw him guard the likes of Anthony Edwards in 16 minutes of work. Just a couple days ago when they pulled off that upset win in Denver, matched up against Nikola Jokic in a pivotal point in the third quarter, which sparked a San Antonio run. Kind of what he was known for, his calling card, defense, hit down the open three, and just a little bit of versatility, being ready when the number is called up to this point. And up to this point, like you see there, he's done a little bit of a lot to find a spot in his rotation up to this point. Devin, we'll start with you because last night you and I were talking, and that was one of the things that stood out to us following the Timberwolves game. The success of Carter Bryant getting that bird, particularly not as great considering they lost the game and they got cooked in the fourth quarter. But you like what you're seeing because in many respects you find it relatable.
Yeah. So Carter Bryant's got the body right, 6'8". All right, long arms. He's athletic. Okay. Not shy at all. Not shy at all. The other day he checks in, and I mean, you know, normally I've been told this by one of the veteran players, you know, you check in, you take that shot right when the ball comes to you. The older players usually say, hey, big fella, run up and down, get a little lather before you start shooting shots out there. Carter Bryant is that same way. As soon as he got out there, he fired a three. Now, let me tell you where that helps a young man like that is the fact that, all right, he's not scared of anything. He's going to guard everybody. And that's what you're talking about, Casey. The other night when we saw him on Joker, he was part of that group that sparked that run, that got them back in that. All right. Hey, and if he continues to play valuable minutes, it's going to go from 10 to 20 to 30. And we all know he's capable of playing that. And he's working his way towards that. But I'll tell you right now, the early signs of what I see out of him, I love it.
Jeff, I don't want to tap too much into this side of this because I know the two of you guys tomorrow on the title pod, you guys are going to dive into it a little bit more. But you know what you said. I didn't know what you said, so I won't let you spoil too much. But so I'll send the point to you. As a result of this, people's minutes are going to be affected, and the person who's being affected the most is Jeremy Sohan because that, as you said off the jump, he is continuing to fall. We were talking about Mitch and loyalty in the rotations, things like that. There has not been a sense of loyalty that has been there with Jeremy Sohan that maybe Pop has had with Jeremy Sohan, a thing along those lines, whatever you want to call it. It very much has become a by need basis with Jeremy. And the numbers have increasingly gone that yesterday, 12 minutes. He hasn't played 20 minutes over his last four. We're not too far removed from that, I think, 8-minute performance against Golden State. Do you think Carter Bryant's increased usage will lead to the end of Jeremy Sohan in San Antonio?
All signs are pointing to yes. All signs are pointing to that. He's younger, much more athletic, and has the potential to do more than what Sohan has already done, 3-4 years into his NBA career. There's there's more upside than there is more present than with the comparison of Carter to Jeremy. Overall, I think this is one of perhaps the biggest ripple effect you're going to see is how it impacts Jeremy Sochan moving forward. The Spurs did not re-up him in the offseason. He is going to be entering restricted free agency. The way he's playing right now, currently, is not too good. We dive into the stats tomorrow, so you definitely want to check that out, even to the point where Devin was shocked. He had me repeat a few stats about Sochan in the last 5 games. And Devin was like, this can't be happening, like for real. I'm like, yeah, it is. So the numbers are down, but then you start thinking, okay, well, is this a byproduct of simply him Sochan, that is, just being injured at the worst time? They came out of the gates cooking 5-0. Look at the record right now. The rotations were kind of set. He just kind of fell out of it. But if you're going to look at Carter, and he's the subject of this segment right now, I mean, the upside is just incredible. He's that 3 shot. I feel like that's all that's left, or just a long 2. I'll take a long 2 right now, because once he does that, I can definitely see him get even more minutes over Sochan at that position. He is their future at that spot. And if it means saying adios to Sochan, I think the Spurs can live with that and maybe not re-up him next season. I'm hoping for a 180. I'm hoping for when everybody or the team gets somewhat close to healthy, that maybe then Sochan will see where he fits in and get more comfortable. And okay, these are your minutes right now, but he's been on a roller coaster, up and down, injured, out of the lineup, back in the lineup, has one good game versus the Lakers and stinks it up a few times, and it shows the ineffective right now. But then he comes in, he does the things that you want a guy like him to do. Go into a fight, almost fight for Wemby. You saw that he got in the mix during the recent game. He still does a little bit of everything, but Devin, Casey, that little bit of everything is getting fewer and fewer in the last few games.
Go ahead, Devin.
No, yeah, I'm going to go, back to Carter and the things that, I feel like ever since Kawhi left, I feel like the Spurs, they're trying to, the Spurs are known for developing, you're looking at one of them, developing these players that come out of nowhere, so to speak. You can go on down the list about, all the young guys that, being involved with that, I being one of them. And so with Carter, he's next up. And, to what Jeff is saying about the things that are going on with Sochan, my only advice is to have a conversation. Have a conversation with Mitch. But that's all I'm going to say about that, because, if the front office is thinking one thing, that's out of Mitch's hands, So just have a conversation with Coach. Mitch seems like a great guy to talk to. And it doesn't even have to be about basketball. I think it'll catch Mitch by surprise if Sochan goes in there and talks about, other stuff. But yeah, right now, Jeremy's in a tough spot. But, I praise Carter Bryant for always being ready when his number is called. And to go from guarding Joker one night to guarding Anthony Edwards the next night, I'm looking in the mirror. I'm looking in the mirror.
But I think what you just said, Devin, is the reason why Mitch has been leaning that Carter Bryant direction as opposed to Jeremy, because Jeremy has been given not only the same but better opportunities that Carter has, and Jeremy hasn't shown a consistency that he's ready to do that. Who has? Carter Bryant has. Carter Bryant has. They've both gotten a reasonable opportunity to take the reins and go with it. And if Jeremy's not going to do it, then this is the runway is there for Carter Bryant to take it and run. And I know that was kind of the sentiment that we all had at the start of over the summer when they took Carter Bryant, because you're thinking, okay, they take a 3-and-D wing, catch and shoot wing, a guy who can guard almost, essentially guard 5 positions on the floor. And your immediate thought was that, like, well, the Spurs are loaded up at the wing, so one of Sochan or Keldon Johnson, they become expendable. As we've learned, it's not going to be Keldon Johnson, so who's the odd man out at that point? Yeah, it's Jeremy. I think the conversation would be a little different if Jeremy hasn't had the substantial opportunity to do such, and even more so opportunity to do such, that he has right now with Victor out. He's getting a chance that wasn't foreseen, essentially a whole month's worth of opportunity that wasn't foreseen at the start of the year. Heck, even when he came back, and he's gotten that, and he still hasn't pulled away in any part. Kelly Olynyk has hopped him in the rotation essentially too.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I mean, and if you look at
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. No.
I thought you were done. Go for it, Jeff.
If you look at the last 3 games with Sohan, this is what he's averaging: about 11 minutes a game. All right, 2.7 points per game, 1.7 rebounds, not even a steal, not even a block. I mean, literally his average block 0.0. Shooting, I mean, do we want to go there? I guess we'll go there. 30%. And you look at that, okay, that's in about 11, 12 minutes in the last 3 games. So that's what Sohan is giving you. When you flip it and go, okay, well, what's Carter doing in the last 3 games? Well, he's averaging fewer minutes, about 10, but he's giving you 2 rebounds. He's giving you a 1 steal. He's minimal turnovers. He's giving you at least 2 defensive rebounds per game. And you only extrapolate that, okay, well, you give him just to match up the minutes. Maybe he gives you what Sohan is giving you, but with a lot more energy, athleticism, explosiveness, healthy. The Spurs definitely have a question on their hands, whether it's this upcoming trade deadline or in the offseason with Sohan. But Carter Bryant, I mean, he's the quote-unquote heir apparent for Sohan should Sohan decide, the team and Sohan decide to part ways.
Devin, you got final word here. Go for it.
If you look at, and I'm listening to all the numbers and the things that Carter Bryant brings to the team, Sohan is just going to be one of 3 or 4 guys you can push out, if you know what I mean. Because Carter Bryant, if you have someone that's that dynamic and you're grooming him, think about this in the future. He's going to be able to pick up and guard that the point guards full court, then turn around and be able to guard a guy like Joker. Well, you got a lot of salaries that you can get rid of if you're going to play this kid 30 to 35 minutes a night, and he's going to do that for your basketball team. You're going to end up saving money in the long run. So when I heard you saying that, Jeff, I started thinking that there's like 3 or 4 names that popped up, and I go, oh, well, Sohan might not be the only odd guy out because, what's my man's name? Old Man River, Harrison Barnes. He can't.
Barnes, yeah.
I mean, he can't play 10 more years at least. I hope not. But he's going to end up, walking to the sunset. So, they're doing a great job of bringing him along, and he's got Harrison there, and I'm pretty sure from what I hear, Jeremy Sohan knows what's going on. He knows the deal, but he's still being a great teammate. That's important, and that's just part of the San Antonio culture. So Carter Bryant, hats off to him. He's doing a great job so far.
And coming from a guy who's had to find his way and found his way in the most successful of fronts in yourself, I think Carter Bryant would probably enjoy hearing that. I don't know if Carter Bryant's a cold weather guy, but coming up on the other side of the break, it's going to be a cold December, man. It already was yesterday for them in Minnesota, sub 20 temps, and the schedule does not get any easier in any capacity between now between Christmas. So before we head on out of here, going to talk about what looms in a very chilly December in a literal and figurative sense of the term, and how San Antonio is going to try to get by, and whether they do it with or without Victor Wembanyama. That coming up in just a minute right here on the Spurs Squad Show on Locked On Spurs. But before we get back to that, let's have a conversation about Rugiet. As we know, making excuses, it does not solve anything. We've heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. Happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs the little extra support. And that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers a fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatment for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. It's very simple to get started. You connect with a board-certified doctor. It's all online, 100%. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. You get signed off. They send it right to your doorstep discreetly. So visit Rugiet.com. That's RUGIETIET.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. Rugiet.com/LOCKEDONNBA. And don't forget to use that code to let them know that we sent you with Rugiet. Stop making excuses and start making moves. All right, almost time for us to get out of here on the Spurs Squad Show on this chilly December 1st. We have finally gotten to the final month of 2025. Where has this year gone? Jeff Garcia, Devin Brown. All right, the schedule, I want to bring it up. Now until Christmas, just so I can give the full effect of how this next month looks. Of course, after this four-game road trip, Spurs back tomorrow. As I said last night, I think I told Devin they came back home, let the dogs out, hopped right back after the game against Memphis. They hopped right back on a plane for another road swing in Orlando, Cleveland, New Orleans, the Emirates Cup game, potentially even more. It all adds up to fun home games between now and Christmas. And of course, the last of those home games, the 23rd and the 25th on Christmas against Oklahoma City. So, Devin Brown, I will start with you because we love talking about those cold nights in Minnesota and cold nights in Minnesota like it was last night. How does a young team get through a stretch like this and stay alive, stay respectable, stay in contention in what's been a tremendously competitive West so far?
Well, first things first, Casey, it reminds me of my senior year at West Campus. Coach Carroll, Ray Carroll, shout out there. He had our schedule like that. We had all these cold games, Pleasanton, Beeville, Medina Valley, Carrizo Springs, and they all got buckets. They all got about 40 a night there. So now when you fast forward this to San Antonio, what it is that they're going to have to go through, hey, listen, this is just that part of the schedule. All right? You know what it is. Number one, let's take care of Memphis. Well, you got to deal with Memphis, right? Because they're coming in, playing pretty good basketball right now. You deal with them, and then you got the NBA Cup situation that you got to, and then after that, Orlando. Orlando's in there, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, so
Orlando, Cleveland, and the Cup.
Yeah. And so, Cleveland. Yeah, so, hey, it is what it is. You're in the NBA. You already know months in advance where you're going and what the schedule looks like. So they'll be prepared. And I'll tell you what, it's going back to our first topic. And I saw it the other night with Mitch. And we were wondering about a hangover game against Minnesota from Denver. And you found out right away Mitch was there to play basketball. He'll have these guys ready to go. And this is just a part of the schedule.
What you got, Jeff?
Yeah, I echo what Devin said. It is what it is. I can hear Popovich's voice saying, look, we all have to go through this. Every NBA team has that moment in their schedule. This is it for the Spurs. And we'll see how they fare. They got some big boys ahead of them who can't discount Orlando. Definitely cannot discount Memphis. Devin and I, we broke down the game for tomorrow's night's matchup. And Memphis is playing pretty good right now, and the numbers reflect it. And so, all in all, I hate to be the cliche, but this is the only thing you can say. You just got to take it one game at a time. What I do want the Spurs to control is tomorrow night, if they can, and it's a tall task, but they show they can defeat Denver in Denver. They've shown that they can take care of business versus Portland. They weathered the storm against Atlanta at home and they beat them. If they can take out Memphis early and rest before they got to fly out literally after the game, you have to do that. If they can control that, they should be okay into Orlando. But it's a tall task, as mentioned. Memphis is playing good. I believe they're like 4-1 in the last 5. This number was astounding. They're averaging about 50 rebounds per game in the last 5 games. Also, they're hovering around 30 assists per game in the last 5 games. I mean, that's how good Memphis is playing right now. But if they can just take care of business early versus Memphis, rest up, get on that flight as soon as the game's over, and they're done talking with me and the rest of everybody in that room, then I think that's the best thing they can do for now. But Casey, you talked about something before we hit live. You said, "Is this make or break?" You want to get into that right now?
Yeah, no, I mean, because I think it is. I'm not going to go as far as make or break.
Yeah,
but
you had a better summation.
I don't know if summation would be a better way. more so along the idea of just kind of if they have very little wiggle room, because I think we've learned by now this is a team that's going to be a playoff team. That's gonna be a top 6 team if they can stay healthy. That they're going to be a top 6 team in the playoff. This is the type of month, though, that can wreck things. Not end the season and all of a sudden we're looking at a 40-win campaign. No. But if they go out and they play sub 500 ball during this stretch, that could be the difference of them being 6, could be the difference of them being the 4. And especially with a lot of those games, those Laker games in between, that they're going to be right there with them as well. Like losing a tiebreaker in those spots. I forget the Cup. You want to beat a team like the Lakers in the middle there too. Like that was kind of the thing with the Denver win the other day. I don't think got talked about enough, was that honestly, every Western Conference team that you're going to have a tiebreaker over is huge. With the exception of Oklahoma City, of course, because they're just on their own planet right now. But every one of those teams that you can earn the tiebreaker with is massive at this point. And I think right now that this is the stretch that can really not decide things, but like you said, one notch below a make or break type deal. Because if they go out and they don't do their job and they finish this stretch of these 15 games, they go whatever, like 5-10. I don't think they will. Yeah. That could be the difference. That could be the difference between a 3 and a 6. If you can't go 500, and instead you go, like you said, you play 3-4 under. You play 3-4 under ball. I think that's what awaits in the month of December, Devin.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, some of these opponents, I mean, like a Memphis, they're playing well. Orlando's no pushover. The Lakers are, they got all their heavyweights back, so they're good. And you go on and on and on. But at the end of the day, this is what you signed up for. This is why you're an NBA player. This is why you get paid. This is what drives Mitch to be one of the best coaches. Like I said, hey, these guys will be ready. They'll show fight. There won't be any laying down, just because the expectations are very high for this basketball team, and they're growing by the day.
Jeff, put a bow on this thing before we got to get out of here.
Well, if you want to hang on to some stats here, we would end it on this note, but above 500 teams this year, the Spurs are 5-6. They're 5-6 versus teams that are above 500 record. And I also want to put a ball on this too. Devin, you are not completely off about the Manu thing. I did verify that. Yeah, there are some reports perking up right now.
Yeah, thank you. Y'all made me feel weird. I was like,
I wanted to check for you. Yes, there are rumblings, murmurs about that.
I thought maybe I had a different internet where I was like,
You had your VPN. You had your VPN set for like Argentina.
Yeah.
Well, and when you have a guy over here that's openly stirring the pot, you just don't know.
Yeah.
I even put in everybody a little behind the scenes look. I even put in the private chat from us 3. I sent a message to Devin to go, Devin, were you kidding around with that Manu thing? Hoping that Devin will see it in the show. But no, I did check. Devin, you're not completely off. You're actually right.
Nice.
Well, that's something we're going to revisit again tomorrow and the rest of the week. If what happens here with this Manu Ginobili thing, and that's more the reason why you're going to want to come out and hang out with us throughout the week. Whether the title pod tomorrow with these two actually right back at you talking about the Jeremy Sohan thing, and of course
tomorrow morning
tip time tomorrow. Spurs Grizzlies, they're in town. 7:00 tip. Devin working double duty. He will be right back after the game on the Spurs postcast with myself to recap the action, and of course another post game in the middle of Orlando, and then another Spurs squad show on Thursday. 3 of us getting together again one more time. So be sure, we have a busy week here at the channel. Be sure to come back and take part in all of that like you always do. Your second listen after all that, as you know, Locked On Fantasy Basketball, Josh Lloyd has got you covered. And as always, when we wrap these things up, got to show love to the everydayers like yourself. You're the reason the Locked On podcast is the #1 podcast network in all of the land, sports podcast network. And it's because of the people like yourself that hang out with us and make these shows fun and make these shows possible. So a credit to all the work that you guys do, especially tonight here on this chilly Monday night in San Antonio. So I think that's a good place to leave it, fellas. Appreciate you as always. For Mr. NBA champion Devin Brown, the host of the Title Pod in the Middle, Jeff Garcia. My name's Casey Viera. Thanks for hanging out with us. Talk to you tomorrow.